It's Tuesday, September 30th, 2025. I'm Tom LoBianco. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. Coming up in a little bit, we're going to be talking with Juliegrace Brufke on what to expect when your government is shutting down, which it seems is imminent. You can check any number of countdown clocks available out there. A reminder, if you're not already, please go head on over to 24site.news and subscribe. You catch us live here every day at noon, Substack, and on YouTube. And again at 8 p.m. on Political Voices Network. Ian Walters is on the board. Again, Big Papa Ian is back. And he has populated some really incredible graphics for us. Super excited to have him back again. That way I can focus on you guys and you can hit us with comments again. All right. We have internet bandwidth. We have like double internet bandwidth. All right. This is very important to have so that your multiple streams don't crash things. So if you have questions, comments, things you'd like to see, hell, if you think things are terrible, they suck, if you'd like to see me do something different, drop a note in there. If you're watching us on YouTube or Substack Live, Ian will gather those up and shoot them over to me. Okay, guys, so let's get to our top news today. As we are starting with the government shutdown, I think it's important to take a look at, there's this whole battle right now over who is going to be responsible for a government shutdown. Who's going to take the blame? Who's going to lose more seats in the midterms, right? This is kind of the big question of this. Fittingly enough, it's not really a question of whether our healthcare costs go up, whether tens of thousands of workers get furloughed, the chaos that will ensue. Who's going to take the hit on this? That's the messaging. Well, for that, we turn to the morning consult. All right. Check this out. Headline: more voters say they'd blame Republicans than Democrats for a shutdown. Awareness of funding talks has grown as more see a funding lapses likely compared with the March standoff. Byline: Eli Yoakley. Key takeaways: 45% of sorry guys. That's not the morning consult. That's Mr. Beast lighting a hostage on fire for $500,000. We were talking about this before the show. I should not laugh. I'm sorry. I should not laugh. That is actually a very serious story. Apparently, Mr. Beast, the big YouTube influencer, almost got this guy killed with the promise of $500,000. If you're almost going to get me killed, I think I need $500 million. All right, inflation and whatnot being what it is. Okay, let's see. Do we have there we go. Okay, good. There we go. Morning consult. Key takeaways: 45% of voters say they'd blame Republicans in Congress for a government shutdown, while only 32% say they'd blame Democrats in Congress. Republican voters are more than likely than Democrats to say their own party would be at fault, 33% to 22%, while independents voters are more likely to point their fingers at the right than the left, 41% to 24%, and roughly half of voters said a shutdown is at least somewhat likely, up from 36% who said the same in March. I'll tell you what this has me thinking about, because I'm an overgrown juvenile. All right, I was watching the latest South Park last night where they put the betting markets on whether, I think this is the one with the betting markets on whether Kyle's mom would try to bomb Gaza. Just bonkers. It's a shame we didn't preload those graphics for the show. Another excellent one. I think that's number 4 on the season. Check out the characterization of Brendan Carr in there. It is hilarious. All right, guys. And as I'm sure you know, let's move on to our next one here. Big news today down in Quantico with the President of the United States heading over with Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Headline from the New York Times: Trump tells top brass U.S. cities should be military training grounds, quote unquote. Here's the latest. from Maggie Haberman at the top of the live feed here. Sorry, guys. We keep coming back to this Mr. Beast. You know what? Let's find out if the room was on fire with this stirring speech from Hegseth and Trump, as much as Mr. Beast seems to have one of his fans on fire in this. we got the New York Times there. There we go. Okay, here's the. Oh, they are not on fire. There appears to be almost zero passion for this. I have to say I am shocked to have all the military generals called in up and down the ranks from around the world for a very special meeting here in the DC suburbs, where they are addressed by their president and the defense secretary. Not a lot of excitement here. Let's see what happened. Here's Trump refers Sean McCreesh. Trump refers to racial slur during address to the military. President Trump referred to the use of a racial slur during a speech, saying there are two N words and you can't use either of them. All right. Well, it's whatever. It's not terribly surprising here. Let's say he said that, quote, we should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military, and referring to urban areas within the United States, talking about Chicago and Portland. Here's a very good summary from Sean McCreesh at the New York Times. There does not seem to be a clear point or purpose in President Trump's address to the military generals today. It is a garden variety tear. He's talking about tariffs, Joe Biden, the auto pen, the southern border, CNN, his personal feelings about Russian President Vladimir Putin, his anxieties that he won't be given a Nobel Peace Prize. These are things he talks about almost every day, regardless of the audience or setting. A reminder that we heard this same stump speech when he addressed the United Nations General Assembly last week, to Sean McCreesh's point here at the New York Times. So a standard stump speech. Well, it's easy to see why the room was not on fire for that. Coming up in a few minutes, we're going to have Juliegrace Brufke joining to tell us exactly what is happening in the shutdown. Guys, if you head on over to 24site.news, and if you haven't seen it yet, make sure to check out Julie Grace's latest, popped last night, explaining for us exactly what to expect. What is the likelihood, and what are we going to be seeing here? I'll read from the top of Julie Grace's piece here. Headline: Government shutdown appears all but inevitable. The president would cut a deal if left to his own devices. Johnson and Thune want a shutdown, a senior Democratic source said. Top: Dateline, Washington. Government shutdown appears all but imminent as leaders from both parties emerged from the meeting at the White House on Monday without a path forward ahead of the September 30th deadline to pass a stopgap funding measure. The president would cut a deal if left to his own devices. Johnson and Thune want a shutdown, a senior Democrat told 24 Site News. Democrats have slammed GOP leaders for not negotiating a bipartisan deal and are advocating for language to be included to extend Obamacare tax subsidies in a continuing resolution, a position that some Republican moderates in swing districts have expressed some openness to. But the majority of Republicans have argued the bill passed along party lines out of the House is largely clean, alleging that Democrats are making unreasonable demands. Quote, there's nothing partisan in here, no policy riders, none of our big party preferences, because we want to do the right thing by the American people and allow more time for negotiation, Speaker Mike Johnson said. Now, there's a reason that Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries have come out there, stomped their feet, saying that they can't go along with this. They're trying to bring in extraneous issues. For that, we bring in the author of that report, Juliegrace Brufke. Juliegrace, hey.
How's it going?
What is up?
Oh, pure chaos in Capitol Hill world, where I feel like if shutdown's about to happen, Senate's supposed to bring up the House CR again. Democrats just tried to force a vote, but weren't recognized on the floor in the House side on their partisan CR. So I think we're headed for a shutdown, and both sides are very dug in, and how they get out of it is kind of the looming question, since we're very dug in at this point.
So, I mean, if it shuts down, I presumably, they all go home? What happens?
So Mike Johnson's bringing everybody back next week. Senate's here this week. So, House Democrats are here. So they were trying to force a unanimous consent vote on the floor a couple minutes ago, but ultimately the person in the chair didn't recognize them, so they were unsuccessful. Not that would have gone anywhere in the Senate anyway, but yeah, Mike Johnson's like, this is a clean CR. We should pick it up and then continue negotiations until November. And Democrats really want that healthcare language in there, which, Democrats kind of emerged from that meeting. I talked to some staffers shortly afterwards that said they thought that Trump seemed semi-open to that, and Republicans refuted that pretty heavily. So, like, very different takes coming out of where the president stood from that meeting from people, the principals there.
I have to say, I'm absolutely shocked to find anybody walking out of a closed door meeting in this current political environment with completely different reads on what actually happened in there.
It's going to be a wild few days. We'll see. Then we saw Trump that was tweeting out memes of Hakeem Jeffries wearing a sombrero. So I feel like, I guess not moving on healthcare stuff anytime soon.
Is there some kind of like 4chan backstory to that I don't live in these spaces?
But yeah, things are chaotic up there. So I guess
I heard there's a med bed being delivered to the White House right now, even though it doesn't exist. So I wasn't sure if there's like something to the sombrero.
So I guess talks will continue throughout the week, but right now, yeah, they're very heavily dug in. And I was texting with a Dem source earlier that was projecting a very long shutdown. So, that was their take on it. If it shuts down, which it will,
really,
definitely, they think it'll last for a while.
Wow.
A lot can change in politics, as we know, but people I've talked to are like, Hakeem's not going to budge on this one.
And for the lay folks out there, because we're ensconced in this stuff, all right. So we do this all the time, and we, if there's anywhere that comes close to the number of acronyms used to explain things that the Pentagon uses, it might be Congress. All right. So we'll go through the vocab a little bit here. Unanimous consent is when they ask that they don't have to vote, because it's just so basic, like saying we're putting up a resolution to say that everybody in Congress loves apple pie. All right, and moms, and the American flag, and bald eagles swooping in at the right minute. That would normally be like a unanimous consent type of thing. Although who knows in this environment? I don't know if you get 435 for anything these days. Is there anything they agree on?
They've seen a few things this year. it's fair. Like post office, naming post office. I feel like that's one that you see a lot. The CR, harder to see that.
and the CR folks, that's called the continuing resolution. It's designed, and Juliegrace wrote about this at 24site last week when it happened. We got the update here coming out of the White House meeting yesterday. So if you missed it, make sure to sign up. 24site.news it would keep things at the current spending levels. Basically, right, it's a Band-Aid to just make sure to give people time to try to negotiate these finer points, like, will healthcare costs go up?
Yeah, so it would keep levels the same. There were a couple anomalies on there, which is like a DC budget fix, which was a bipartisan thing that both people were behind. And there was in the House version a member security funding for members after the Charlie shooting, which both sides were on board with. But the ultimate keeping the levels, since the levels were lower than Dems would have liked initially, but previously they managed to get the CR over the finish line earlier this year. But yeah, this time after the whole reconciliation bill passed, which kind of unraveled some of the healthcare language when it comes to Medicaid, that's something they're upset about. So they're looking for a win, and we'll see if the White House ultimately, if Trump okays Republicans getting on board with that. But I mean, most of the conservatives I've talked to don't really want to see these Obamacare subsidies continue. Argued the pandemic's over, and that's what they were put in place for. And the insurers need to work to lower costs and let the free markets do their thing. So that's kind of the argument on that side. But a lot of partisan finger pointing already on who should take the blame over things.
It's a fascinating dynamic to see, because this used to be the province of quote unquote the House Freedom Caucus, right? Which I'm not even sure how much they really hold sway anymore. But for a decade, really, they were able to negotiate a good bit from the hard right of the House Republican Conference, when people like Paul Ryan and John Boehner were in there. And even here's a name you haven't heard in a while: Kevin McCarthy. Back when Kevin McCarthy was Speaker for a hot minute, if we all recall that. Whatever happened to McCarthy? Where is he these days?
Throwback. But yeah, I mean, it's been a while since there's been a government shutdown. Usually, I mean, they're expensive. I feel like constituents tend to hate it. I feel like people take a lot of heat back home. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how long it lasts before, I mean, these members are all going to be back hearing from voters. And I mean, people that have government jobs are going to feel that quickly. So I think, I mean, the healthcare thing's huge. It's a big Democrat priority, but I think hearing from constituents that are out of work, not getting paychecks during a government shutdown, plus the White House threat that they'll just fire a lot of these non-essential workers, I think is a concern for a lot of people right now.
It's fascinating to me because, as you noted here throughout the piece, the way that folks like Johnson, top Democrats, are talking about this, right? Everybody has their partisan messaging for this. I think it's fascinating to see, would they risk, would the White House and the Republicans risk further furloughs, layoffs, missed paychecks for government workers, for anybody really, this close to the elections in Virginia and New Jersey? I mean, look, in Virginia, where there's a huge federal workforce, where you are, JG, they're already voting right now. Voting is underway on the governor, lieutenant governor, all the House delegates down there. Big races, which could be a bellwether for what's to come for the midterms next year.
I mean, I feel like a lot of the Republicans I talked to feel like Democrats will end up taking heat for this. So, I mean, we saw that polling today. We'll see how the messaging shifts there, if at all. But I feel like they are largely like, this is a clean CR. Democrats should just eat this while we negotiate things out and figure out a fix. They're both, we saw J.D. Vance emerge from that meeting yesterday and talk to reporters saying there need to be healthcare fixes, but they feel Democrats are in the wrong right now. So obviously both sides feel very differently on the issue, so we'll see who bends first. But right now, it doesn't look like anybody's trying to blink. So I think it'll probably take some heat from some constituents to kind of rally these people to figure something out.
So are you taking a sleeping bag up to the Capitol? Like a case of Celsius?
Well, I mean, I'm always Celsius heavy up there, but House is back next week, so a lot of texting and calling, and we'll see what some of these senators have to say today. So venturing up there right after this hit.
While we got you here, JJ, I wanted to ask you, what races are you paying attention to? Because, we are getting into the thick of the midterms, and this is such a consequential midterms, as evidenced by everything around us. What are you starting to hear? Because this really kicks into gear. I mean, it's already in heavily underway now, but it really kicks into gear in November. We're kind of the early rumblings you're hearing.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how some of these redistricting fights kind of play out, but that's something to watch right now on how things will pan out. But I mean, right now, I feel like a lot of these New York Republicans and California Republicans are going to be in tough races. So I feel like it's some of those places where there were kind of Biden districts that Republicans managed to hold on to that tend to be the ones that flip in midterms. And I mean, traditionally, when everyone's had power, whatever party has power and the White House, usually things tend to flip. But past few elections have been crazy, so I feel like it's going to be interesting to see how things pan out, since it's been pretty unpredictable and polling's been kind of all over the place and unreliable.
We're gonna have some wild Senate primaries too, leading up to some potentially big Senate showdowns. Places like Texas, Georgia, Michigan looks real interesting right now. What are you hearing out in the field?
I mean, Texas is kind of a fascinating one. I mean, John Cornyn's kind of managed to close that gap a little bit in the polling with Ken Paxton. So that's I know a lot of the more established and traditional Republicans have a lot of fears about Ken Paxton not being able to win in a general. And I mean, Texas has trended red largely, but it's I mean, some of them just see him as a liability. So, I mean, we've seen races in the past like Roy Moore back in the day, who, when you kind of have an eccentric candidate, a red state can flip. So it's I feel like that's a big one to watch. And I mean, some of these primaries are pretty crowded, so we'll see how some of these pan out. But yeah, it's going to be a wild midterm season, and we'll see kind of how people are liking Trump at that point and where the referendum falls, Republicans or Democrats. So lots to keep an eye on.
I mentioned earlier about South Park and the betting markets. So instead of putting up a bet on, whether Kyle's mom will bomb Gaza, how about a bet? We don't have a betting market. Maybe we should. But how about a bet on whether we get a Jasmine Crockett versus Ken Paxton general down in Texas?
It'd be a wild ride. I feel like I need to check Predict It and see if that it's on there. But I mean, it would make for interesting television.
Oh man, those debates, if they ever happen, would be incredible. Hell, we'll just get AI to do it for us, right? I mean, it does everything else.
I mean, with Texas, I mean, there's still talk of potentially Wesley Hunt or Ronnie Jackson potentially hopping in there if it looks like John Cornyn can't pull it off. So we'll see. And I mean, I feel like a presidential endorsement will be something to keep an eye on there, since that'll have weight in Texas. So
huge.
We'll see. I mean, there's some interesting ones. You got Kentucky, that's a crowded race. I mean, there are lots to keep an eye on. So,
all right, guys. Hey, Juliegrace, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Hey, yes, check out Juliegrace B, Juliegrace Brufke on all the socials. All right, head on over to 24 Site News. Make sure you're up to date on that. Also, look up Julie Grace's. So this is it's nascent. Sources Say podcast. Right, just Google Juliegrace Sources Say. She has an incredible interview with George Santos, which posted a little while ago.
Should be picking back up as the new guest soon.
Yes. So get George Santos. Incredible. Just really, it's amazing. Julie G, thank you. Thanks for being here.
Anytime.
Okay, guys, that's Juliegrace Brufke. Make sure to head over to 24site.news and check out all of Juliegrace's reporting on this. We'll be updating throughout the day. Check out Juliegrace's socials, Threads, Blue Sky, X, you name it. Juliegrace is there nonstop reporting from the Capitol. Before we head out today, keeping it tight today. Before we head out, want to say a big thanks to all of you. Let's take a look at some of our comments here. So let's see. Here's the question: what are the government services that shut down during a shutdown? What stays open? Social Security issuing checks. Will federal building projects stay open? National parks. So there are some national services, there are some essential services, national security services, which do stay open through a shutdown. There are, quote unquote, non-essential federal workers who either don't get paid, or, as Juliegrace noted there earlier, the White House has said they might just fire more people. So this would be on top of the already massive firings that happened at the beginning of the year. So they might use that as an excuse to fire people outright. In the past, You have had things like the national parks shut down, although, again, I would note, not only is this year not normal, it's pretty friggin' far from normal. Check me out, not cursing. Uh, but a lot of these folks were canned at the national parks to begin with anyway, at the beginning of the year. So, um, and I think this is when you look at this, this is why the Democrats, why the Democratic base has really made this calculation of saying, no, we really do want you to shut it down because we don't want Trump to continue using the government like this. Part of the calculation there, and this is part of the calculation that Schumer went through at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of the year when they acquiesced, it was because there was still a lot to be protected. Now, not so much. Now we've seen the destruction caused by Trump and the Republicans here. So, not what not a good corollary there, I would say, with previous shutdowns. Gene Elby writes in, "Hey, Julie Grace, back at you. Thanks for being here, Gene. Hey, and guys, thank you for all for being here. I'm sorry I couldn't take questions last week. Juggling too many things. Super excited to have Ian back here. Thank you, Connie, Tracy R, Dennis McT. Thank you for being here. Excellent to see you. You can always drop in comments and quotes and whatnot. You can drop those in the live stream in the chat on Substack or on YouTube when we're live. You can also drop those down in the comments. You can hit me up on Tom at 24site.news if you have anybody you'd like to see, anything that you'd like us to address. Working on our topics for this week. We have a number of good folks lined up. If you have anything in particular, climate change, women's sports, why the Ravens just completely blew their damn season. I mean, it's not easy being a Baltimore fan, guys. Really, just goddamn. Before we head out, I want to say a big thanks to our sponsors here. Beth Solomon, author of From Fire to Fabulous. She is the author of this. She used to be a Sam Nunn speechwriter and used to work at the C-suite. And as we stare down this government shutdown, you might face some firings. What do you do in that case? Well, believe it or not, even people as accomplished as Beth, we all go through this, have been fired. What do you do? How do you pick yourself back up? Check out From Fire to Fabulous by Beth Solomon. It's a very good manual. I had her on the show last year to talk about this when it came out. Very useful guide, whether you're going back into any career or whether you're going back into starting your own thing, even. And want to say a big thanks to Manoj at projectmanagemymove.com. You guys have heard me talk about this here before. A distress sale. What is a distress sale? Well, when in real estate, if you have the terrible luck, the bad fortune of going through a death in the family, a divorce, something, really knocks you sideways in your personal life. And look, it happens to all of us, okay? You have to put a home up on the market pretty fast. You might not get the money that it's really worth. All right. And these are, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars here. So what Manoj does is at projectmanagemymove.com, he actually coordinates the contractors to come in, clean up the house, do some basic fix work, basic improvements before you put it on the market. I'm talking about even the simple stuff like just painting. Okay, which will increase the value of the home tens of thousands of dollars and get you the money that you rightfully deserve for your property. Okay, so head on over to projectmanagemymove.com. Tell them I sent you. All right, give Manoj a big hey for me, and Manoj and Beth and all you guys, thank you so much for supporting us. Thanks for supporting us here as we continue to fight the good fight. All right. It is a pleasure to be here with you. It is a privilege, but more than anything, it is our First Amendment right, and I am honored to exercise it with you. We'll catch you tomorrow, guys.